We shouldn't be mic'd up in the first place. And that's all I'll say about that. And then, I went from a Church of Christ college to country music. And so I think she kind of lost her grip. Oh, that hurt me to say. Could you tell? I was like, oh.
And in that song, you used a swear word, which I thought was sweet. And now,
have you listened to the record?
In the new song, you drop an F-bomb.
I do.
In Wait.
I do.
Does Kelsea Ballerini have a potty mouth that we don't know about?
I do.
Can you give me like an example? Like,
well, I mean,
like okay, you and Carly are on a walk and you see like something that's just like crazy.
We shouldn't be mic'd up in the first place, and that's all I'll say about that. I think for me, I really struggled with the idea of like role model for a long time.
Okay.
Because I started so young, and while Love Me Like You Mean It and Dibs were played on country radio, they were also on like Radio Disney. And so I was really not calculated in that, but like protective of that. I'm 31, And so I think especially with Welcome Mat, I was just like, I just want to write like I talk. And talking about Taylor, like I think when she started like cursing on her records, I think she kind of gave everyone permission to just write like they talk and write the full truth. And so, yeah, I was very careful to not say anything on this record just for shock and awe. But if it felt like it was the right thing to say, I would say it.
You got the new album coming out, Patterns. Big performance you did at the People's Choice Awards where Shania hosted.
Yeah.
You guys collaborated together once upon a time. Did you catch up with her?
Always.
Okay.
Every time that I can see Queen Eileen, I do. Yeah. I love her. Queen Eileen.
Wait, is that what you call Shania Twain?
Yeah. Her real name's Eileen.
Okay, did she know you call her that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Shania and I have had so many just amazing touch points over the last 10 years, whether it's I got to guest with her at Stagecoach or a couple of years ago at ACM Honors, I sang for her and she let me wear her dress on the carpet. She's also a part of Dr. Odyssey, this show that I just did a guest star role in. I love her, and I feel like she's always evolving still and just continuing to do things that are different, and she's the best.
How does one, like, you're friends with Taylor Swift and all these artists, how do you guys actually hang out in real life? Do you, or how do you keep a relationship? Like, I can't imagine you and Taylor Swift or Shania at a Starbucks.
I mean, I think the artist that I truly have like the closest friendship with is Carly. Carly and I, we're really intentional about it. Like we'll go on walks at Radnor or we'll go to our houses and just make dinner and have wine and play each other songs and stuff. I think her and I are probably the closest. But, Lainey is so good about always checking in. And Taylor and I talk every now and again. Really, it's just when I'm like, oh my God, you added Down Bad to the set list. This is amazing. Normally it's just me fangirling, which is per usual. But yeah, I think that it's really beautiful to have artists that you can have those touch points with and just check in with and make sure that everything's good. They're good, you're good. But Carly, I think, is probably like my best friend.
Sorry, Mom, I smelled like cigarettes and my eyes were Casa Red.
And speaking of like full truth and you getting into it, I want to show you this picture from last time you were here. You had this cool hat on.
Yeah.
One of the things was Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Well, it's a song on the record. Sorry, Mom is one of the first songs that we wrote. Honestly, one of the most beautiful things that's happened in the last couple of years is my relationship with my mom going from like mother-daughter to woman. And, she's kind of a helicopter mom. Like she was very, very protective growing up, very just always knew what was going on all the time. And then, I went from a Church of Christ college to country music. And so I think she kind of lost her grip. And I've always been a pretty good kid. But I definitely have made decisions in my life that I think she wishes she could have shielded me from, like every parent.
Right.
And this song is just kind of my love letter to her being like, hey, I know that, maybe I ran all the red lights. Maybe we got into a few fights, whatever it may be. But like at the end of the day, I'm an adult now that you're proud of. And I'm proud of me too. And I'm proud of you. And now we have this beautiful relationship. And so you did everything right, Mom.
What's the one piece of advice that moms gave you that you passed up on that you're like, dang?
Oh, Lord. I mean, honestly, I love a lot of my tattoos. She's going to love this, Mom. She's going to love this. I love a lot of my tattoos, but my first couple of tattoos, I do think were a little impulsive, and I was not being very mindful and very demure about it. So I do wish I would have listened a little bit more to Carla on that. Oh, that hurt me to say. Could you tell? I was like, oh. Yeah.
Favorite song on the album is?
Oh, ironically, I think it's We Broke Up.
What? Give me some details.
Well,
How did he listen to the whole record and go, yeah?
I mean, he's been a part of this whole record,
Okay.
you know, and it's really cool because when we first got together, it was before Welcome Matt came out. So I remember we were texting. It was early days, and we hadn't even met in person yet. And I was just like, hey, you're going to ask about this eventually, and this is going to come out next month. So I'm going to go ahead and send you Rolling Up the Welcome Mat. And I did. And he really handled it with such care, and also like from a creative to a creative, like really embraced it.
Mm-hmm.
Was really supportive through that whole chapter. And then he got to kind of walk alongside as I made this record. And obviously there's a lot of relational content on this record.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing I'm really proud of is the way that I can promote this album now from a place of like being fully with a teammate that is also supportive of truth telling. And, you know, I think when you are getting into a relationship and you're in your 30s and you have, you know, you have baggage, you have history, you have different kinds of family upbringings. There's a lot that you bring into it, and then add two big lives on top of it. Obviously, it's going to take a minute to get your footing, and it did. And there's no harm, no foul in that. I think for me, a lot of this record is evaluating my patterns, whether it's me as an individual or me in a relationship, and noticing that I have, dare I say, a couple little toxic ones. And so it's me calling myself out, and also calling him out sometimes too. And that's been really beneficial for both of us. So I'm proud of that whole process. And We Broke Up is a bop. And ironically, by the time we cut the song, we had gang vocals of a bunch of friends that are a part of that song, and he's on the gang vocals, so it's really not that deep.